stress about why did this happen to me, and how could this happen to me? I was invincible, and I was doing so many things. My children are young, and those kind of thoughts came into my mind, and I went through a lot of struggle, a lot of suffering.
Spirituality was always connected to religion or people, and it was very much confined to people who were wearing saffron robes or having long beards. And
I do not want to use the term spirituality. Is exactly why you said, because it's been contextualized, it has been taken out of context, and therefore becoming aware of my conditioned behavior or the intellect, that's what I'm calling it, gives rise to the profound knowing, which I call the intelligence. My intention was not to change anyone, but change myself.
Your book talks about tapping into unlimited intelligence. Do you really think that's something? I mean, how does it work?
It is so difficult to explain it and put it in words, but let me try and put that in words.
Hello everyone. In this episode of Trailblazers, we will celebrate the inspiring journey of Santosh Nambiar, a former biotech executive turned spiritual guru and author. From the high-pressure world of corporate leadership to the pursuit of inner peace due to a life-changing health scare, Santosh's story is a remarkable tale of transformation, leading him to unlock the secrets of inner peace and share his insights through his writings and teachings. Join us as we explore how he turned adversity into enlightenment and success into a deeper and more meaningful existence. Santosh, thank you so much for agreeing to do this Trailblazers series with us, and welcome to Aadiverse.
I'm happy to be here, Aditya.
Yeah. So now my first question to you is that you were born in a small town of Kerala, and then how did you end up doing Masters in Microbiology?
Yeah, that's right, actually. When I look back at my time in the small village in Kerala, which is Kannur, it was such a beautiful time of my days as a child, and it was certainly a God's own country where there was a lot of green around, large acres of paddy fields, green paddy fields, and coconut trees, and those arecanut trees competing with those coconut trees, and the mango trees with beautiful, nice mangoes everywhere, and then the jackfruit trees, and it was like as if the whole world was for us. And one of the things that really happened, if I look back at it, is that the mind conceived emotions were not there, like the anger or the fear, and we were doing the things that we like to do. And therefore, there was freedom. And we did what we wanted to do. And slowly, as I was growing up, I realized that, this upbringing, we learned quite a lot of things from the society. Like we download quite a lot of things from the society, like how is my father reacting to certain situations, how is my mother reacting to certain situations, the friends, the teachers, and therefore I started downloading all those things as I was growing up.
So were you conscious of all these things?
I was absolutely not conscious about it. Beautiful question, and this is a problem. Yeah. Totally unconscious, unmindful, and unbeknownst to me, this was happening as I was growing up, and I was kind of putting on an identity of my own, and therefore this was something that I was totally unaware of, and I grew with it, and this was growing up like a virus in me, and trying to capture that innocent child that I was when I was quite young and playing around with total freedom and lack of fear. And slowly something was happening in me. And later through the schooling and through my colleging, and this was kind of trying to have a grip on me, and I was trying to put on a facade, and that facade is still there now. It has not gone yet, and therefore what I wanted to do was to actually, I don't know, from a young age, as I was growing through my school days and my college days, and there was this kind of thing happening that I was not good enough. And that even probably was a kind of an identity and something that actually I put on, a facade that I actually put on. And as I was growing up, I wanted to really make sure that I am capable, I am good enough, and I want to prove that to the other people. And that was one of the things that I was constantly battling with. And therefore, I did my graduation, Bachelor of Science in Chemistry, and then I wanted to do something really bigger, like, Master of Science in Biotechnology. That was at Madurai Kamaraj University, one of the prestigious organizations in India at that time. And biotechnology was quite nascent and nothing was happening. And one of the things that I took it as a challenge to see what's going to happen. But now the biotechnology is cutting edge technology all over the world, including India. So that's the journey that took me from Kerala to Madurai Kamaraj University, doing Master of Science in Biotechnology, and then continue to do my PhD in biotechnology as well for about 4 or 5 years.
Where did you do your PhD?
PhD at the same, I was continuing this PhD from Madurai Kamaraj University, one of this prestigious organization along with JNU and IIC and CCMB and those kind of organizations.
Right. So you have had a remarkable journey in this biotech industry, and also you have had an amazing career in biotech industry in different continents. Could you please recall some of the key moments of your career?
Right. I think this thing, the facade that the identity that I had was to really prove to my family, to my friends, to my, classmates and my teachers that I'm good enough. I can do it. And therefore, I'm constantly trying to do things to show them that, look, here I am doing my master's, doing my PhD and achieving things, and now going to work for these big biotechnology company. And the good, interesting thing is that I started my career in Bangalore. And that was way back in 1989, working for a German biotechnology company based here in Bangalore. So I have a lot of love for this city where Bangalore, and it used to be called the Garden City at that time, and I enjoyed my life here. So my career started here in Bangalore. One of the things that I like about in my growing up in this corporate ladder is the fact that wherever I went, doesn't matter if it was New Zealand or Australia or US or wherever it was, the key thing that I had in my mind was, how can I, with my expertise, be of help to the researchers in my industry or my customers at large. So to that extent, I was constantly working to make things or make life easier for my customers. And so I kept that as my main mantra. Mm-hmm. And I still do that even today. So those were the key moments. And so I enjoyed that everywhere I went. And to that extent, there was growth in every company that I went. Mm-hmm. And therefore, there was this feeling of, oh, how could I help? How could I be of help to people?
Right, right. But I think, in this whole journey, your life took a dramatic turn when you were actually misdiagnosed. Your health was misdiagnosed. What kind of bearing it had, in your life?
That is true. I think one of the things that I was doing, that in the process of proving that I am capable of doing things to the other people, so what am I doing really? I was actually living for other people. And I was not living for myself. And therefore, I was actually not caring for the sentiments of other people. Only thing I looked at was how can I really grow up in this career, in this corporate ladder? How can I actually achieve things, whether it was like, getting a new position or leadership positions or getting more salary and buying a new car or buying a new house, and those were the things that I had in my mind. In that process, what happened was that there was a lot of anxiety and stress because I'm constantly proving to the other person, and that put a lot of toll on me. And I think that probably was the reason I fell ill. And I was taken to the hospital, and initially they said it was cancer. This was way back in 2000 when I was working for a biotechnology company in Perth, in Australia. And so my children were quite young at that time, and so I thought that I was invincible when suddenly this thing, the announcement from the doctor saying like, you've got cancer and that you can probably, you live for maybe 2-3 years, I don't know. And that was actually true, that the doctor said that we can't tell you how long, but this is going to happen. And subsequently there was a lot of stress about why did this happen to me and how could this happen to me. I was invincible and I was doing so many things, my children are young, and those kind of thoughts came into my mind. And I went through a lot of struggle, a lot of suffering. And I guess in that suffering or during that suffering, I guess, the facade that I put on became visible. And that probably was a blessing in disguise, in hindsight.
Yeah.
But during that process, I didn't know what was happening. I was miserable, I was suffering, and I was going through a lot of anxiety and stress as to not knowing what my future is going to be, and death was staring at me until about few weeks later, we actually found out that it was not cancer, it was tuberculosis, which they were not able to diagnose in Perth because they didn't have enough cases during that time. And this was diagnosed back in Kerala because they had enough knowledge of tuberculosis. And so then we sent those reports back to the doctors in Perth, and they later on found out that it was tuberculosis, and then we did the treatment for that.
Okay. I mean, that must be, as much as it was horrifying experience for you, but at the same time, there was some kind of, did it spark any kind of, spiritual journey to you?
Aditya, one other thing I wanted to talk about is, this word spiritual is totally misconstrued as far as I'm concerned. And I'm not going to use the word spirituality because it's been totally taken out of context everywhere. Now, what I'm talking about is the conditioned me that was growing in me like a virus and capturing me became visible. I became aware of it. And as I mentioned, when I was young, when it was actually kind of, overpowering me, and slowly as I was growing, I wasn't aware of it. I was unbeknownst to it was actually happening. And therefore now I have become aware of it. And that gave a new shift in my whole life. And that was a pivotal moment for me. And I found an opening where these anxieties and sufferings, which were mind-conceived and part of my conditioned behavior, which I call the intellect, became visible. And from then onwards, I wanted to find out what is the root cause of these conditioned behavior. And that was what intrigued me. And I started rediscovering that not from the perspective of other people, but from my own. And I think that's probably what they call the inner journey. So therefore, I looked at my own conditioned behaviors, moment to moment, and started to observe what was happening in me. And therefore, this was a constant practice from the moment I kind of became aware of the conditioned behavior, again, due to that suffering that I went through way back in Perth. And that gave me a new chance for self-discovery.
Okay. Okay.
And it was a blessing in disguise.
Would it be wrong to term it as your spiritual journey? Because I do understand, like, at least a couple of decades ago, spirituality was always connected to religion or people, and it was very much confined to people who were wearing saffron robes or, having long beards, and or who would spend time in solitude in Himalayas or something like that. But then spirituality is much more and beyond that. So how would you identify this journey of yours with spirituality?
Absolutely. What a beautiful question, Aditya. I think the reason why I do not want to use the term spirituality is exactly why you said, because it's been contextualized, it has been taken out of context, and therefore, becoming aware of my conditioned behavior or the intellect, that's what I'm calling up, gives rise to the profound knowing, which I call the intelligence. And when you're able to get access to this intelligence or the profound knowing, there's a whole lot of happening, there's a whole lot of things happening, manifesting in your life. And this is similar to what a spiritual leader would convey in his own words. And therefore, when I was actually, I don't want to use the term practice, but as I was going through this realization, I felt a lot of energy within me, because I guess, the energy that was drained because of the intellect overpowering me is no more there. And there was a lot of energy, and there was a lot of creativity, and there was everything that I was doing. For example, I might have a huge challenge with my business, for example. And then when this realization comes in, and when I begin to stress about it, when the conditioned behavior comes in, and I look at it, and then what happened was that big challenge kind of dissolves by itself, and a solution comes on its own, and somebody comes in and gives me a solution and then walks away.
So it's all about being conscious and being aware of it?
Being aware
all
of
the time?
Absolutely.
How do you practice? No, coming back to, I'm sorry to use the word, but
you can use it. You can use the word spirituality.
But how do you practice this? How do you bring this on your every day-to-day life?
This is absolutely, again, an interesting question, Aditya, which nobody asks, because people say I'm meditating, and they sit in a corner and meditate for about 10, 20 or 30 minutes. But then when you're out and about, they are confronted with the reality of chaos, confusion, anger, anxiety, and therefore it's easy for them to be pulled into that situation. So while you're sitting in a room and meditating, that peace and that tranquility that prevails in you is shattered as you get out. So my challenge was, fine, there's nothing wrong with that, but how do you take this peace and presence, what I call the presence and the awareness of this intellect affecting you or playing through you? How do you take it into the wider world as you're actually out in a supermarket shopping, as you're actually talking to your friend, or you're actually traveling in a bus? And this is what I've been practicing.
Okay.
Even now.
Okay.
I'm not I'm not saying that I've actually completely become aware of it. This is a work in progress until my last breath.
Right. Santosh, for lack of word, I will use the word spirituality. Please don't mind.
Absolutely, go for it. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
From corporate career
Yeah.
to spirituality,
right,
then to be an author.
right.
How is this whole shift?
Honestly, Aditya, it was not a step-by-step process. I guess what really happened was that this opening or a space of silence created when you become aware of this conditioned, mind-conceived noise that was coming in you, it gives rise to a lot of creativity, a profound creativity. And that creativity is not coming from the conditioned that you've known from your books, from your friends, from your teachers. It is actually coming from this profound, unlimited knowing. And so I constantly plug myself into this profound knowing, or the space of knowing, not from the intellect. Therefore, things begin to happen. And previously, when I'm having a conversation with someone in business or not in business, it was all about what is in it for me, because it's coming from a conditioned, selfish behavior.
Yeah.
When you become aware of this conditioned behavior and when you observe it, what happens is there is this, the barrier is lifted, as if a veil is lifted. And therefore, what comes now is, how can I be of help to you?
Yeah.
And I guess what is happening is that self-centeredness that I had because of this conditioned behavior is now changing to being, what was the term? I'm sorry, self-centered to being more
helpful.
of, no, I think that's sorry, I think I'm just
More
talking
of
now.
giving?
More of non-self-centered, I could say, non-self-centered, or becoming aware of my self-centeredness. Becoming aware of my self-centeredness is what I'm talking about. And so that happened, and therefore, the person that I'm actually doing business with is more comfortable knowing that this person is not going to take away anything from me, that there is this feeling of that I'm here to look after you, and mutually we are in this together. So therefore, wherever I went, there was this easiness of doing things, and then I became much closer to this person, and this kind of continued. And therefore, not only my books, my business and everything became much more creative, and there was a sense of, a touch of divinity in whatever came through,
Yes.
manifested.
Yes. So why did you choose only to write book? Was not there any other way?
No, initially what really happened was, it is interesting how this self-discovery journey takes place, and I was totally unaware of it. And I'm pretty sure that most of the people who have actually been on this journey would kind of relate to what I'm saying. When I got this knowledge, the realization, initially because of the suffering that I went through way back in Perth, what really happened was that I got some knowledge, and I wanted to actually impart this to people. I want to talk about this to people, and change the whole world, is what I was thinking about. And as I was going through that process, I realized that not many people are ready for it yet. And therefore, I was totally unsuccessful. And later on, I found out that, how am I going to talk about this to the other person when I myself is not aware of it and learning? And why don't I practice for myself fully and look at my own ignorance, look at my own conditioned behaviors before again, I don't know whether I can change the world, I can change the other person, but I can change myself. And so that began to dawn on me. And that is when I started practicing this for myself.
Yeah.
And what I did was I started writing this in a piece of paper, and not with an intention to publish it, but I put that as a journal. And some of my friends said, it would be good for other people to know. And therefore, I think my first book came about in 2012, A New Way of Living. A New Way of Living came about. And subsequently, my intention was not to change anyone, but change myself. And through that process, if anybody else gets an understanding of how this conditioned behaviors can become aware of it, and then allowing this intelligence to actually, pass through you, and then miracles happen. If the other person is interested, then we can have a conversation.
Great. So, and that's how the book, The Art of Conscious Balance, came into being?
Yeah, in fact, I was going through this practice from around 2002 until today, and it's going to continue until my last breath. It's a work in progress. So there's a lot of realization happening. And constantly, I guess what is happening is that the ignorance that I'm talking about is like a cobweb. And the cobweb continues, it comes back because of this conditioned behavior of several years. And my intention is to cleanse it every day, and keep cleansing it and keep cleansing it, so that this ignorance becomes visible and visible and visible. And to that extent, that's the kind of practice that I do even today.
Right. Your book talks about tapping into unlimited intelligence. Do you really think that's something, how does it work?
Right. It is so difficult to explain it and put it in words, but let me try and put that in words. Imagine a candlelight in a dark room, and that gives out some light when the room is dark. Whereas when you throw open the curtains and allow the brightness of the sun come into the room, the light of the candle, the flickering candle, is dwarfed by that of the sun's
effulgence.
Absolutely, beautiful word. Therefore, the light of the candle is the intellect that I'm talking about, plugging into, which is your conditioned behavior, which you've learned from your books and teachers and society and your upbringing, which is all mind conceived, which is absolutely essential, but then it's got its limitations.
Yes.
And when you become aware of it, the intelligence comes into being. It's not a two-step process that you actually keep this away and allow this intelligence. The moment you become aware of this intellect playing up in your life, in all your day-to-day activities, the intelligence comes into being, and then you're a different person altogether. And then the creativity and some kind of manifestations and everything kind of comes into being. And so, the key is not to become, the key is to become aware of this intellect. So I'm using the word awareness. The word awareness is a totally different meaning. For example, I'm aware of mathematics. I'm aware of chemistry. And I can talk about mathematics and chemistry to another person. This awareness I'm talking about is totally different, is a 360-degree awareness, the within and without. And therefore, it has got a totally profound meaning. For example, the awareness that I'm talking about is, imagine, again, a dark room. I'm using this dark room quite constantly. Imagine a dark room, and there's a lot of rat running around.
Okay.
Obviously,
Yeah.
like this is running around,
Yeah.
and you open the door, and using your torchlight, you just show some light into that dark room. What happened is the rats actually become silent
Yeah.
and goes into the corner.
Yes. Yes.
And therefore, what the awareness is the torchlight
Yeah.
that you're shining into this dark room.
Right.
And the conditioned behaviors, which is the mind conceived, the thought that's happening in
Yeah,
your head,
yeah.
running around
Yeah,
constantly,
yeah. Yes.
the incessant thought is the rats
Yes, yes,
running up.
yes.
So this torchlight is your awareness. And so you need to bring, and the moment you take this torchlight away, the rats begin to do the job,
Yes, yes, exactly.
like your mind.
Yes. Yes.
So this consciousness, the mindfulness, the awareness is akin to the torchlight.
But how do someone who's in a corporate world, who's bogged on with daily stressful life, be able to bring this torch in? So, do you have some kind of, tips or a trick?
It's not a trick, really. I think there are some questions that we need to ask
Okay.
in our life.
Right.
And we don't ask those questions because we are constantly on a treadmill of life. It is like as if, you're driving a car with all your 3 tires, flat tires, punctured. They're all flat. And therefore, you're driving this car. And how far can you go? And we're constantly driving that. And so the question that we need to ask is, do I have the time to fix those 3 tires? And once you're able to fix those tires, which means that you need to get out of the treadmill
Yes.
and ask those questions that I asked, which is what we call self-discovery.
You mean so the first someone needs to pause, take a moment?
Absolutely, because otherwise, how long can you drive with these 3 tires punctured?
Yeah.
There is a limit.
Slowing you.
It's absolutely because you're hitting your head against the wall.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of confusion with this incessant thought activity happening because of this intellectual, conditioned behaviors that has been happening and continue to happen, and it's got this hold on you. So you need to come out of this treadmill, and you need to actually, take the time to ask those questions and fix those tires before you can drive efficiently.
Great. So you have created a platform called mindnoisematters.com. So does that platform offer solutions as well or workshops? What do you intend to do with this platform?
Now, there are, if you look at humanity, there are few people who have no idea about what we're talking about, and they constantly struggle and die. And there are certain number of people like me who have undergone this, big hit and so-called awakening. And mind you, I need to get that hit on my head in the form of that doctor's pronouncement.
Sorry to interrupt, but then not, like you said, it was a blessing in disguise, but not everybody is blessed to
True.
Go through that phase.
True.
So how does one then even realize that they are going through this kind of situation? Because people are so conditioned that they think that it is very much normal to
Right.
live like this.
True.
In that busy thing. So how do you think that one will take a pause?
No, this is one of the challenges that we have in life, that most of the people think that I know this and I will do it later, but the later never comes. But the problem here is that I'm talking about the second kind of people where they know it theoretically, but they don't know how to put that into practice. So when they're ready at that stage, that is where we come in.
Okay.
And then we actually tell them that this is what it is, and this is how it is, the intellect versus the intelligence, the conditioned versus the unconditioned. And so you become aware of these things, and you start asking this question and trying to fix those 3 flat tires. That is what the mindnoisematters.com has been doing.
Great, great. Awesome. So despite your spiritual journey, you still stay connected to the corporate world through Assay Matrix. So how do you balance this out?
The balance is, in fact, using the technique of the latest book, The Art of Conscious Balance, where I'm constantly watching and observing those intellect or this conditioned behavior, the conditioned facade that is actually coming in. And therefore, what happens is that there is so much energy in me, and this energy is not drained by this mind conceived. And therefore, every day seems to be so beautiful. You wake up and there is this creativity that is happening in you. And honestly speaking, I'm not a person who can write books. I don't have a vocabulary. Even now, I can say that I'm not good with words, and I'm struggling with words. But I've written about 5-6 books. How did that happen? It's because of this art of conscious balance, becoming aware of the intellect, keeping the intellect away, and bringing that space of silence from where these things do happen. And that has got a touch of divinity, I guess. I'm not sure. I can't even explain that. And therefore, not only am I able to, have the time to write the books, I have time to do everything that I want to do in my work, and yet be able to sit in my couch and do nothing. Looking after my family, looking after my children, writing books, running the company, and then here I am talking to you. And there is plenty of time. There is plenty of time on your hand. It comes about when you're able to find that space of profound knowing,
Yes.
which I call the intelligence.
Yes. So how is your family accepting this whole transformation of yours? Obviously, they are the primary witness to this whole journey of yours.
That's one of the things I was talking about. Once I got this little bit knowledge about the whole truth of life, I wanted to convey that to my children, to my wife. They were not ready for it. And therefore, I was constantly getting disappointed by why they don't understand this. But later, I realized that I need to practice this for myself. And when I started correcting myself, when I started practicing this for myself, they began to see a change in me.
Yeah, they respond.
The response was different.
Yeah.
And slowly, my wife began to understand this, realize this, not understand, but realize this slowly. And as I'm realizing it slowly, and my children, when I take them on a walk, they would say to me, "Look, Dad, I think I realize why you said that to me now." And therefore, for example, when I go to my daughter's room, she's around 24 now, she's a dental doctor, I can see everything in disorder, and which to my conditioned mind is not good enough. And therefore I used to actually tell her, and she would get upset by what I'm actually telling her initially. But when I began to understand that, I need to keep my room neat, I need to correct myself, I need to do the things for myself. And she started imbibing that. And now this is much more effective than telling them to do what I need to see them to do.
Yes, yes, yes.
So that is absolutely profound knowing. Therefore, I understood that people are not ready for it, and therefore you just can't talk to everybody about it.
So you teach by example.
I don't know whether I'm teaching, but I'm correcting myself.
Yeah.
In that process, there is some kind of thing happening.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's all what I do. So the job become easier. Like previously, I had this big mountain on my head and shoulder that I need to change the whole world. I need to correct the people, including my family, friends, and tell everybody that this is how it is. But then I realized that many people have tried before me. It hasn't worked. And for the same reason, I think what needs to be done is that the correction has to happen within. And then things will kind of fall in place.
Yes, that's beautifully said.
Thank you.
For the viewers to know, what is Assay Matrix and what are your aspirations, and especially in the field of research, medical research for cancer and Alzheimer's, what exactly is happening there?
I think biotechnology has become a cutting-edge tool in finding cure for all kinds of diseases like cancer, cardiovascular diseases, and all kinds of diseases. And there's a lot of, I think we are living in an era where there's solutions and research happening around the world, and people are collaborating with each other. So it's an irony, isn't it, that I went into the biotechnology not knowing that this is going to be one of those times when this technology is going to prevail in such a beautiful manner in this whole world. And some of my friends actually ridicule me as to, what the hell are you doing, and they were all doing engineering and medicine and those kind of things, and I'm actually doing my master's science in biotechnology, where there was no scope at that time. I'm talking about somewhere in the 80s, 1980s. But now look at how it has revolutionized the human life itself.
Yes.
So it's good to be part of that. I'm happy to be part of this technology and to be able to help the community in Australia and New Zealand with this Assay Matrix, a biotechnology company which provides the tools, the reagents, and the kits and everything that is required for them to do research. And so whatever the expertise and technologies that we can actually give to the researchers within Australia and New Zealand, because both these two countries are cut away, or are actually, what was the term that I wanted to use, is a bit remote.
Yeah, isolated.
Isolated, beautiful, isolated from those. Therefore, to get these products to them so that they have a level playing field with that of the counterparts in US or UK or India or China becomes easier, where they are, there is manufacturing happening and the products reach them quicker.
Right.
I hope that makes sense.
Yes, very much. So what are your hobbies? I hear it is bike riding and then also travel.
I do a lot of traveling, and I also enjoy, sitting quietly in my room without any, I'm happy to sit in my room and just be with myself for several hours. There's no urge for me to actually, oh my goodness, why am I sitting here? I need to do this, I need to do that. And to that extent, I have enough time. So I do a lot of bike riding, I'll do a lot of jogging, I go a lot of walking around within wherever I go. And traveling is one of my passion as well. And then I don't know, I have, wherever there is water, where there is large number of uninhabited woods, forests, and those are kind of my things that I enjoy.
Great.
And I also enjoy going back to Kerala, where I came from, those paddy fields, those coconut trees, those mango trees, the jack trees, and whole other kind of trees that I used to live with. I always look back and then go there and then spend my time there.
Nice. So what kind of advice do you have to someone who is going through some existential crisis or midlife crisis? Because I'm sure that, because most of our viewers are from the corporate world and, industry that they serve in. So what kind of advice do you have?
Again, you rightly said, because, as I said, I'm correcting myself, and therefore there's no advice that I can give. But having said that, one of the things I've realized is that we need to be a circuit breaker for our children at a young age, so that the children don't follow what the path that I have actually taken. They become aware of this conditioned behaviors at a young age. It is possible that they become unaware of it, but at least if you sow the seed at a young age, and as they grow up, when they're struggling because of this intellect having a hold on them and resorting to this confusion, the stress, and then probably drinks and drugs and those kind of things, they become aware that, okay, this is the reason. I probably need to do a little bit of my self-introspection as to why this is happening, rather than resorting to that extent. If you're able to, put a seed in there, let it not germinate at that time, but it may germinate at some stage or the other. That would be one of the things that I would like to actually convey this to the children. And the second thing is that for us as adults who have actually gone through this condition, what is important is that we seek everything at the level of the external, whether it be like, position, power, house, money, and those kind of things at the level of the external. Whereas if you go a little bit deep within here and ask those questions, and I guess people call that the inner journey or going within, I don't know, but what it is simply becoming aware of those conditioned behaviors. Then what happens is that if you work from within out, things kind of becomes easier, and as if your 4 tires are functioning well. Otherwise, you're actually running around with those tires, flat tires. So to that extent, I guess that's that is what I've realized in myself.
Right. So we are actually now wrapping up the conversation. Thank you so much, Santosh, for agreeing to do this with me. And really, I'm extremely honored to have you here. And thank you so much. Any last words for our viewers?
The last word is this, again, Aditya, that, as I'm speaking to you now, I am meditating. And what I mean by meditating is I'm aware of this conditioned behaviors and those responses coming into me, and therefore gives me that space to actually get those answers out of my system. And therefore, in all reality, what is important is to be that torchlight in a rat-infested room, which is your mind, with incessant thought activity. And the awareness is the key. And how do you bring that awareness? And what are the techniques that you actually use to bring that awareness in you? To fix those tires, I meant, is very important. You may know this, but the problem is we forget it, and as we are constantly on a treadmill. So how do you remind yourself constantly, moment to moment? How do you bring that awareness in you constantly, moment to moment, is the key. And that is what the art of conscious balance talks about.
To our viewers, I would like to let them know that the book, The Art of Conscious Balance, is available on Amazon and most of the platforms. And then please visit mindnoisematters.com to know more about Santosh's work and then the kind of workshops or, the programs that he's bringing in. Thank you so much, Santosh, for agreeing to do this. Thank you very much.
Once again, Aditya, thank you for this profound conversation. Thank you.
Audio